Ever feel like you're stuck on that career treadmill? You're putting in the work, hitting all the goals and milestones, but something just feels off.
Yeah, I've definitely been there.
It can get pretty frustrating, right? Like you're just going through the motions.
Totally. Especially when you're checking all those boxes but still not feeling fulfilled.
Exactly. And that's what we're diving into today.
Oh, this is going to be good.
We're exploring this idea that maybe growth isn't always what we've been told it is. That whole climb the ladder mentality.
Right, like it has to be this constant upward trajectory.
Yeah, and we're challenging that today with some excerpts from this piece called Growth Isn't Always Forward.
Ooh, that title alone is making me think.
Right. It's like, wait, what? How can growth not be forward?
It definitely challenges that traditional idea of growth we're all familiar with.
So what are your initial thoughts when you hear that phrase, growth isn't always forward?
Well, at first it kind of sounds like a contradiction
I know, right?
because we're so conditioned to think of growth as this linear progression, upward movement, promotions, bigger
Yeah,
salaries.
all those external markers of success.
But this piece is suggesting that maybe there's more to it than that.
So maybe instead of always pushing forward, sometimes growth means taking a pause.
Yeah, stepping back to reflect, reassess, recharge.
That almost feels counterintuitive, though, doesn't it?
It does, especially in our culture of hustle and grind.
Where everything's about constantly striving and achieving.
But sometimes slowing down or even changing direction completely is actually what we need to do to grow.
It's like that saying, sometimes you have to take a step back to take two steps forward.
Exactly. It's about recognizing that growth isn't always linear. There might be detours, curves, even U-turns along the way.
And those detours aren't failures.
Right. They can be incredibly valuable learning experiences, opportunities to reassess, and maybe even discover a whole new path.
The piece actually talks about these lateral moves as a form of growth.
Lateral move. So that's like when you take a position that might not be a promotion in the traditional sense,
Yeah, you're not necessarily climbing the ladder.
but it gives you a chance to develop new skills, broaden your experience.
So maybe it's a marketing manager who decides to move into project management.
Yeah, or an engineer who transitions into a more creative role.
It might not seem like a step up on paper.
But it could be a huge step forward in terms of personal and professional growth.
And ultimately, that kind of growth can lead to even greater opportunities down the line.
It's like taking a scenic route instead of the highway. Sometimes the scenic route is where you discover the hidden gems.
I love that analogy. And it highlights the point that growth isn't always about those external markers of success.
Right, it's not always about the promotions or the pay raises or the fancy titles.
It's about developing ourselves in a way that aligns with our values and goals.
Whether that's mastering a new skill, deepening our understanding of a subject, strengthening a relationship, or even just becoming more self-aware.
Those things might not add a line to our resume, but they contribute to our overall growth as individuals.
And ultimately, that's what matters most, right?
Absolutely. So if we're challenging this idea that growth isn't always forward, what does that mean for us?
Well, it invites us to redefine what growth means to us personally.
To question those traditional markers of success and maybe even embrace those detours and pauses.
Because sometimes those unexpected turns lead to the most incredible destinations.
Have you ever experienced that in your own life, where a perceived setback actually turned into a valuable growth opportunity?
Oh, totally. There was this one time I was working on a huge project and I poured my heart and soul into it, but it completely flopped.
Oof, that's got to be tough.
It was, but looking back, I learned so much from that failure, more than if everything had gone smoothly.
Sometimes you learn the most from those experiences that push you outside your comfort zone.
Exactly, and that's what real growth is all about.
So as we wrap up this deep dive, I want to leave you with a question to ponder. If growth isn't always about moving forward, what direction does your growth need to take right now?
Maybe it's time to explore a new skill or hobby, step back from a demanding job to prioritize your well-being, or simply give yourself permission to pause and reflect.
Whatever direction you choose, remember that growth is a journey, not a destination.
And it's a journey that's uniquely yours.
So embrace the detours, celebrate the pauses, and keep growing in whatever way feels right for you.
Onward and upward, or maybe sideways, or even a little bit backward, but always onward.
Until next time, keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep growing.